Cindy Novak, Downsize Administrator with the Carolyn Stark Real Estate Team. Thank you so much for joining us for our Home Edition event. Today we have a wonderful program for you. We've got Lori Coonen, and her company is Living My Legacy. Her program is Have I Completed My Planning? Lori is a heritage design professional, and she helps families to share values, histories, and stories from one generation to the next. She has some great information to share on how we can share what's important to us with our kids and grandkids. So now, here's Lori.
Hi everyone, I'm Lori Coonen with Living My Legacy. Thank you for being here today. I know Carolyn and her team have put together some great home edition things for you to be watching, and I hope today doesn't disappoint. My segment is all about your planning. I will share some things today that are going on in the current planning world. I'll ask you some questions for you to ponder, and then hopefully at the end you will confidently be able to answer the question, have I completed my planning? And if the answer is no, you'll have some next steps to take in order to keep moving forward. So when you read the title of the workshop, did you say to yourself, I think I've done my planning? And then you had a checklist in your mind. Financial planning? Yeah, I've met with my financial advisor. I know how much I need to save and when I can retire. Or if you're retired, yeah, I know how much I can spend per month. I've also have my life insurance in place for my heirs when I pass. And I have my long-term care insurance, disability, and in place when I need it. And my property and casualty is set. And on the estate planning side, I've met with my estate planning attorney, and I have my wills, my powers of attorney, my trusts in place, and they're all funded. Yeah, I think I have my estate plan done. So my planning is complete. Well, I have a follow-up question for you. Are you confident that your plan is going to go smooth when you need it? Now, many grandparents and parents do planning so that the future generations are well taken care of, so that their family is happy, healthy, and in harmony after they're gone. However, I can tell you from the research that has been done, those goals are not likely achieved. The studies show that 90% of time, families fail to keep their family and wealth together for more than 3 generations. And 70% of the time, it's gone by the second generation, 90% by the third. And this has been true for centuries all over the world. In China, over 2,000 years ago, wealth never survives 3 generations. That's a saying that's heard all over the country. England, in 1350, clogs to clogs in 3 generations. In Spain, 1st generation trader, 2nd generation gentleman, 3rd generation beggar. And in Germany in the 1700s, seldom 3 descents continue good. And then of course ours in the United States, from shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. And in Brazil, the most recent in the 1900s, from the stables to the stars to the stables in 3 generations. So what did we learn from this? Geography, cultures, different economies, different tax structures, different governments, it doesn't matter. It's a human issue, which is a good thing because we can fix it. So why do 90% of families fail to keep their families and wealth together for more than 3 generations? It's not due to lack of good financial and estate planning. It's due to transferring money rather than the wealth. Let me repeat that. It's due to transferring the money, the assets, rather than the wealth. So you may say to Lori, what do you mean by that? Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, so there's a huge gap between what we think causes this loss and what really causes it, and what we know is important and what is done. Let me explain by looking at a few studies. The first one was conducted by the Family Office Exchange. It's an organization that works with families and family offices. And in 2009, February of 2009, they asked their families that they work with, what do you think will get you? So what's the most critical threat when you're looking at 2009 and going forward? And what families replied was 79% of it was all about the financial situation. So investments, the economy, the tax structures. And only 7% said it would be family dynamics or the family relationships, poor communication, that kind of stuff. However, what they found is the Williams Group did a study with 3,250 families and asked them, well, what got you? You had money and connection and family unity a generation ago, and it was all lost this generation. So what got you? And the families reported that it was 60% of the time, it was a breakdown in communication within the family. So lack of communication and trust. 25% of the time, it was unprepared heirs. And another 12% said it was due to lack of common vision within the family. And only 3% said it was due to the investments or the financial part of their plan. Another important thing is knowing what is known. What do clients want to pass and receive? So Allianz, the life insurance company, did a study on inheritance. And they asked baby boomers, what's the most important thing that you could pass or receive? What do you think it is? The family story and life lessons. Yeah, 86% said it was the family story and life lessons. And the shocking thing is, for baby boomers, it was 10 times more important to pass or receive the family story and life lessons than real estate or money. 10 times more important. Now, recent studies show that those that know their family story and feel like they belong to something bigger than themselves are more resilient. So can you imagine being able to give the gift of resilience just by sharing your family story, life lessons, the values that made you who you are today, the values that you want to be part of your legacy? Share those stories. Give the gift of resilience to your children and grandchildren. Now, I'm always asked when I do these presentations and provide these statistics about how important it is for baby boomers and the elders to pass or receive the family stories and life lessons. I'm asked if that's the same for Generation X and Y and Z and the millennials. And from my experience and the clients that I've worked with, I would say the stats are similar. You see, Generation 2, so that would be like the Gen Xers my age, have hired me to document their parents' stories and life lessons as birthday gifts or 50th wedding anniversary gifts. So I would say that the stats are similar. And just last year, Wells Fargo Private Bank came out with a study, and they surveyed over 1,000 millennials and Gen, I think it was Zs, and they asked the question, what's more important to receive from your parents? And they agreed. 9 out of 10 Gen Z and the younger millennials agreed that it was the values and life lessons more important than the money and assets. Now, my daughter is a Gen Z, and on the screen here you will see how she is receiving and catching my values of passion and loyalty. You're seeing my love for the green and gold in my license plate. And she knows how I earned the right to attend my first game at legendary Lambeau Field at the age of 12. Yep, I said earned. So my dad, he had this rule that you needed to know every Packer player's name, position, and number before you could enter legendary Lambeau Field. And I did it at the age of 12, 1983, when the Packers weren't doing so well. But I still love them. I'm a Packer backer all the way and a proud shareholder. All right, so getting back to the gap between what is known and what is done. Studies show that it's more important for them to pass or receive the family stories and life lessons. But here's what typically happens. We focus on the money and the assets instead of the family stories and life lessons. So we're growing and protecting and passing the money. But what about the non-financial assets? Now, I know Karen did a great presentation about who gets grandma's yellow pie plate. So you want to check that out to get some good tips and ideas on how to focus on those non-financial assets. So as you can tell, wealth isn't just about the financial assets. I have a quick question for you. What is the most important thing in your life? Take a minute to think about that. On the screen here, you'll see some things and answers that I have heard over the years. And you'll notice that money isn't at the top. Sometimes it isn't even on the list. So what type of items or what type of planning focuses on the items that are on your list? And how do we make sure what matters most to you, your families, your values, your stories, are planned for if traditional planning doesn't handle it? The answer? Legacy planning or heritage design. It's the essential third component of successful multi-generational planning. Now you may ask, what's the difference between legacy planning and financial and estate planning? In short, it's passing who you are in addition to what you own. Let me say that again. Passing who you are in addition to what you own. So up on the screen here, you'll see a proven process. It's the diagram of the heritage process. It's what I use with families to help them move through and transition their wealth from generation to generation. It's creating that intentional, systematic tradition of transferring and focusing on what matters most to the family. And you'll see here that it starts with what we call an alignment conversation. It's just a conversation with the family champions to help them identify what matters most and what they desire for their family now and in the future. And then typically the next step is getting the whole family together to kind of focus on what matters most. And then next step, guided discovery and heritage statement, that's all about the family stories, the life lessons, the values. So typically the family champions will begin doing that process, documenting their stories and allowing their family to hear what matters most to them, what made them who they are today, what values they live by, and helping the vision, or sharing the vision with the family. Now, the process just is intentional traditions, right? So it's getting together on a semi-annual or annual basis, working together as a family and focusing on the common purpose or what matters most and what the family wants to continue as their legacy. Now, as Warren Buffett would say about investing, it's simple, but it may not be easy. So we encourage you to have a facilitator or someone that is there to help you keep accountable and keep things moving forward if this is important to you. So here's some questions for you to consider. Now, you might want to pause it after each question so you can take some time to think about this, or just write these questions down and you can do this at a later time. So the first question is, what is my legacy? Another way to put that is, what do you want people to think about when they hear your name? Then, what is our family legacy? Again, what does it mean to be a, and then insert your last name. So for me it would be, what does it mean to be a Coonen? Or if I go with my maiden name, what does it mean to be a Levine? That's my family of origin? These are great questions to think about so you can begin living your legacy intentionally. Next question. Can an estate plan pass the legacy you have created? So think about your estate plan. Where in there does it include your stories, the life lessons, the vision, the things that you want your great-great-grandchildren to know about you? Another question. How can I keep the money from harming my family? So in a survey that was done, the question that was asked was, how much money do you think could harm a family member if they received it without being prepared? And the answers were as low as $10,000 to $100,000. The money that's received can harm a family member if they're not ready for it, if they're not prepared for what's next. Here's one of my favorites. Are you confident your family is prepared? Now, there's a great quote from Pat Riley, an NBA coach. Being ready isn't enough. You have to be prepared. Now, your family may be ready for you to die. Just kidding. But are they prepared? We know the deck is stacked against them. If 90% of families fail to keep the family and wealth together for more than 3 generations. So we need to help prepare them. But what does that look like? Next question. What has to happen for my spouse and my family to be prepared when I'm gone? Now, what I mean by this is thinking kind of big picture. What are those preparedness indicators that will give you the confidence that you know your family is prepared for what's next? An example would be, what do I need to see in my child so that I know she's ready for the next stage of life? Now, my daughter is 18. She's just headed off to college. And consciously and unconsciously, or subconsciously, I guess, I was thinking about, oh my gosh, when she moves off to college, is she going to be ready? Is she going to be prepared for living on her own? And over the summer, I intentionally was thinking about, okay, what does she need to be prepared for? What skills, talents, traits, attitudes does she need to be able to be successful when she moves out on her own? Now, luckily, she has been doing the no cash allowance. Have you guys heard of that? Lynn Finch wrote a book called The No Cash Allowance, and it's a process to help your young children to learn how to manage money and to learn how to budget and use their dollars effectively. So I was confident Miranda, my daughter, would be able to budget her dollars when she got them and she was living on her own. Those are preparedness indicators that I'm talking about. So, what are the preparedness indicators that you're looking for to know that you are confident that your spouse and family will be prepared when you're gone? Some of them could be, I want them to be humble and kind, good decision-making process, a good work ethic, initiative. And whatever you're thinking of, whatever your list is, the next step then is to think of opportunities that you can create so that they can develop those preparedness indicators, those skills, those traits, those things that you're looking for, so that you can have confidence that they will be prepared for the next season of their life. Now, an analogy that I like to use is, say, the driver's license, right? So when your child is 15, they go through a class. It's the book smart, right? They need to learn the laws and the rules, and they learn through a book or through teaching, what a car is all about, where the ignition is, and where the brake is, and the gas pedal, and all of those things. But it's not until they get that experience, the behind-the-wheel experience, where they really get to drive and test it out, where they really learn and get a feel for how it's done. That's where the rubber meets the road. So the behind the wheel are the experiences that we're looking for these preparedness indicators. Another quote that I love from a mom: "You can't prepare the road of life for your kids, but you can prepare your kids for the road of life." Now, thinking back to the no cash allowance that I mentioned for Miranda, that's a great one for young children to learn how to manage money. But what about if you have adult children? Okay, how are you going to help them create opportunities so that they can enhance their skills or develop traits in themselves that you're looking for so that you can be confident? Think about maybe having them plan the next family vacation. So allowing them to pick out the location and work together as a team to create a budget, to do the logistics, the travel, when we can travel, and figure all of those things out, including communication and how to make reservations in advance and work with other people to coordinate it all. Or if you have a family cottage, we know how opening up the cottage in the spring and closing it in the fall can be burdensome logistics, right? So what if the family creates a team and they work together to make it all happen? And what about reservations, right? So the family can use the cottage at different times during the summer or even winter. Have the team within the family create those opportunities and scheduling and making it work so that the whole family can enjoy it. So those are different opportunities that can be created to develop those skills within. All right, so let's check in. How many of you feel that you might not have all your planning complete? You have a good start, but there's some things you need to finish next. No worries. The good news is it's never too late since you're still here, right? So here's some things that you can do to move your planning forward. The first one, understand your purpose. Understanding a deeper meaning and purpose of wealth in your life. So the first exercise really is for you. Getting connected with what the purpose of wealth is in your life and how you can share it with others. It's not just about the money, right? It's about your whole life experience, your values, what made you who you are. Second one, share your story. So stories can help you better understand yourself, your purpose. It teaches the deepest values within you to others, and it can also dramatically improve your financial and estate planning. So share your stories with those that you love. Communicate about values. Now with that one, talking together about values, asking the next generation what their values are and how they live their values. Maybe ask the grandkids what they value. It's great to hear, and it's fun to hear their opinions and their perspectives at that age, right? But have a discussion, not just a monologue. Make it a dialogue. And then fourth, create a family purpose statement together. Figure out what matters most to the family. Now, what I'm showing here on the screen, one of the activities that we do with families for the first step to create a family purpose statement is having everyone create a family shield. So the first part of the exercise is you create a shield for yourself, your own personal shield, things that matter most to you. What do you stand for? And then the second step is having the family together create the family shield that the family stands for, that everyone can get behind. So what you're seeing here on the screen is generosity, nature, animals, family time, and travel. And we call that our Coonen compass. My daughter, my husband, and I created this, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And I have to share a story. On my last birthday, I was reflecting on the weekend, and I smiled because what I realized was that we were living our family values. We were living our family legacy. Let me share. So for my birthday weekend, my daughter came home from college. Now, I would call that generosity, right? Very generous with her time, a college student coming home to spend time with mom. And on that weekend, we went camping and we went for a walk in the woods. So that's travel and nature, right? And we were together as a family, so that's family time. And our dog Dakota was with us, animals. So really there is a demonstration of how we are living our legacy. What are your values? How do you live your life? Can you say, I am living my legacy? If you're interested in activities like this, reach out. Let me know. On the screen here, you see my contact information, Lori at livingmylegacyusa.com, and my phone number. Give me a call. I'd be happy to chat with you and make sure you get the activities that are most interesting to you. You know, it would be great to do something different when the family gets together, or even via Zoom if we still need to do that because we can't get together. So ask for a family legacy fun activity. I also have a planning checklist that you could request, or even let's have a free conversation. Give me a call. Let me know what you're looking for, what you want, and we'll determine next steps together. So I'm going to end with a challenge for you. First one, 72-hour rule. Do something in the next 72 hours that you learned here today. So either share the information, or maybe share a story with someone, or maybe take a step forward with any of your planning that you haven't completed. Second one, have a conversation. So have a conversation with a loved one, a friend, your advisor. Let them know what's important to you, what matters most to you. Share a story. Share your values. And then lastly, join my Facebook groups. If you're interested in more information, I have 2 groups out there, one focused on family legacy fun, the other one on preparing the next generation. There's more tips out there, more activities that you could be doing. I want to thank all of you for being here today, and thank Carolyn and her team. This has been a great experience. So reach out, let me know how you are. Until our next conversation.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Stark with the Carolyn Stark Real Estate Team, and I want to say thank you to Lori for being here with us and giving us a great presentation. And I also want to say thank you to all of you for joining us today.